Well, welcome all to our first meeting of 2022, the kickoff. I can't believe we're in 2022. So thank you all for joining in. And I'm super excited about our speaker today. You don't already know me. My name is Laura Caruso. Most of you, I think, do know me in one way, whether it's from Keith's group or obviously our Fortune Builder group here in Tampa. And my husband and I both have a investing business called Track Ventures. We partner up with a lot of different things and different projects with people we love. The motto, and I share this all the time, that rising tides lift all ships. So we like to be part of just different adventures with all different people in these groups, because obviously when you get on calls like this, you're committed to your business, you're committed to learning, you're committed to creating something not only benefits yourself, but benefits other people in a multitude of ways. So glad to have you on with us this evening. And instead of going through, and I think although there's not that many of us, but I know Keith has so much stuff to say. I usually, Keith, have everyone kind of share like their 1 minute little snippet about themselves. But I think what I'll have everyone do today, so we can get started with what you have to present, is just in the chat box, kind of just share who you are, what your focus is, where you're at, where you're located. And that way everybody can kind of see everybody's information from there. And maybe there's some new people on this call that you have not connected with in the past that you connect with that way. So I'll just have everybody do that today. And before I have Keith, and I'll just share a little bit about Keith in a minute, I want to kind of, I like to start these meetings with a video, just a short little video that has something to do with kind of the topic at hand. So if you just give me a second, I'm going to share, this is just a short 3-minute little video about thinking outside the box. And I know with what Keith is presenting in real estate, this is totally relative to what thinking outside the box means.
Ingenuity is one of the best skills to have because it's hard to learn. You can't take a class on it or have someone instruct you on it. Part of it is innate. Some people are just more clever than others. But there is another way to think outside the box. That's by combining simple trial and error with a willingness to test anything. When do people need to think outside the box? It's when they don't have an abundance of resources in the first place. If you don't have the money, the connections, or the advantages, you have no choice but to find an alternate road to success. And that's okay, because many of the greatest inventions and the greatest people created their successes based on thinking outside the box. It's very inspiring to look at ideas and businesses that were created through experimentation. Do you know how the first Nike sneakers were invented? Back then, they didn't have rubber soles with grooves in them. But one day, the creator of Nike was having breakfast, eating waffles, and just had a miracle idea. Mold the sole from a waffle maker. Yeah, if you didn't know this, the first sneaker was made with a waffle iron. Obviously, the idea was expanded upon significantly, but it's thinking outside the box that led to this. There's dozens of stories like this. The point is that you don't know what creative answers are to solve your life's problems because you haven't connected the dots yet. There's a creative way to solve many of life's problems, even the big ones. Have you ever seen someone who is just complacent in life? Working a dead-end job and not moving forward at all? You notice their prime attribute is that they don't want to try anything new. They have a rationalization for not doing everything. Now, of course, I prefer proper planning and performing validated ideas, but if you have this crazy idea and your intuition tells you it could work, then try it. Why would you not take a chance if you knew it would improve your life, or better yet, the lives of others? So the only way to develop this creative skill of thinking outside the box is to push the limits. Always be looking for new opportunities. Always try new things in life. If you're stubborn and set in your ways, you'll never have a breakthrough even to see what could possibly happen. If you're really driven to do just one thing, like you want to start a business or you want to get a job at a top company in one specific industry, you can find a way to make it happen. But the path to getting there probably isn't what you assumed it was. It wasn't for me. I've made videos professionally. Not these endless motivation videos. This is my passion project. But I'm talking about videos for clients. When I first started my education in college on this subject, I never imagined what I'm doing now would be possible. Because it wasn't. It was impossible to get the equipment and have a way of producing video as an individual. It was too expensive. It took an entire studio to get it done. But over time, cameras became cheaper. Computers became more accessible. Editing software became more accessible. If I had told myself the first day I stepped into class that it would be impossible to do this on my own, I wouldn't be where I am today. Things change over time. The world changing or technology changing might open up new opportunities. Think outside the box and find a way to get your dreams accomplished. As you are thinking creatively, subscribe to the Endless Motivation channel for more inspiring videos.
All right, let me get that closed down real quick on my, so it's, I'm sorry about that. So I put this video, let me see, I got to get back to, hold on, technical error here. There we go. For those of you that were just joining, thank you for joining. I shared with everybody at the beginning of the meeting. Again, my name is Laura Caruso, if you don't know me already, but I like to start these meetings with something that is relevant to what we're discussing for the topic of the evening. And with what Keith is going to present to us, I really do think it is thinking outside the box and not just looking at yourself as, okay, a lot of us know like, oh, we're a fix and flipper, we might be a buy and hold person. We just kind of identify with those kind of avenues with real estate, but there's so much more that you can do than just those two things. And Keith is really he's going to kind of shed some light onto a different way to approach real estate investing and really thinking of yourself as a real estate investment specialist rather than I am just a real estate investor. You really can be a specialist and create and offer people different opportunities and just look at situations differently outside the box, and you never know where that will take you. So Keith, I'm going to go ahead and have you take it away. Thank you again so much for being on here with us, and I'll just let you share a little bit about yourself.
All right, cool. Thanks for having me on. I'm going to share my screen really quick. I hope to make sure it's sharing and working. I'm not going to go on any slides just yet. So first of all, thanks for having me here, guys. I really love just speaking and sharing, and one of my biggest things I believe is this: when you stop learning, you stop earning. So to see people show up on a regular basis and just keep wanting to explore and add more to their mental capacity is just amazing. Great video. By the way, did I tell you I was going to talk about real estate investment specialist, or did I say that in a text or anything?
You just kind of gave me an idea, and then I think today during your call, you kind of maybe mentioned that a little bit, and so
Oh, okay, that's funny.
I know that when I've listened to you speak before, I'm like, I'm pretty sure you usually hit on that.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I actually added the slide in there. It's in there twice. I don't have very many slides at all, but I have it in there twice because that's my focus today. So I'm like, that's crazy. How did she know that's what I was going to be like the core of what I'm talking about here? It's around innovation. I do want to make a couple comments. Great video that you opened with, by the way, Laura. I'll tell you, there was something that was few things that were said in there. And he made a comment that you don't know if you could teach innovation. Maybe not. I don't know the answer to that, but I will tell you this. I do believe innovation and creativity is so important. And so I wrote my first book I ever wrote. I always used to teach entrepreneurs this important phrase. So no matter what you're in, I don't care what space and other businesses you may have going on, but write this down. If you don't make your own products obsolete, someone else will. If you don't make your own products obsolete, someone else will. Is the reality. That's what happened to Blockbuster. That's where it came along. And we're seeing this today. And I think a good parallel to this is Marriott trying to compete heavily now in the short-term rental space with the Homes and Villas brand that they have, and trying to go against Airbnb and not letting them just roll over like Blockbuster did and say, hey, we've been the giant forever. It's not going to change. It will change. So how do you guys become more innovative? I actually think, I don't know if it can be taught or not, but I do think a lot of people have more ingenuity and creativity. This is totally off topic, by the way. This all hit me while I watched this little video that Laura had that I had no idea was coming. But I will tell you something I think is very powerful. A lot of people think that they can't be innovative. They can't think differently. I actually think a lot more people have innovation built inside them. They just don't unleash it. Okay, I think he made a good comment that they doubt themselves or they have self-limiting beliefs along that concept. But I believe this. I learned this from a partner and mentor of mine. We have partnered on some other business stuff. He's a recluse billionaire. His name's Mr. O, and he brought up this concept of this video out there called neuroplasticity. Has anyone ever heard of neuroplasticity? Neuroplasticity is the idea that you can actually change the neural pathways in your brain and how you think and how you start thinking differently. So while you think you can't do something, when you start thinking down a different path and you start doing down a different path, your brain will actually adopt to that. That's how you break old habits and so forth. So I think, I'm not going to go into neuroplasticity here today. You guys can look it up online. But there's some great videos and content on it. But I think the important part the reason I brought it up is, we can get stuck very easily as investors. In fact, I just got off a call a couple hours with a guy who owns 10 properties. He wants to downsize. He doesn't want to do it. And he was blown away. I mean, he's at a point, he's been doing it for 40 years and he just wants to get a place in Maui. And now he's like, wait a minute, you guys can help me run a short-term rental in Maui? So Aldo, get ready. Anyway, so I'm like, yeah, absolutely. He hadn't really thought about those concepts, and he's got a bunch of rentals. And I actually pulled up numbers in areas that he has properties to show him a different way. He can change. He just wasn't aware of it. So the first step is being here and learning. The second step then is getting out of your own way. I think if you spend your time around enough innovation and change, your brain will start to recognize that new possibilities are available. Does that make sense? Like, if you really think about it, people just like my mom, I can't tell me, I can't do that. I can't do that. And now she is more apt on Facebook than I am. You know, she knows more about what's happening in my family. She tells me, you know, your brother did this. I'm like, oh, really? How'd you find out? Oh, I saw it on Facebook, you know? And so we can change if we're willing to recognize that we can change. So anyway, breaking through. So I just spent it, I didn't mean to add that much on that topic, but I just thought it was so good because I think sometimes even what I share with you guys today, I'm going to share with you some new, I'm telling you, for most of you, you're going to get at least one new nugget out of today that you haven't seen in real estate, maybe two or three, maybe the whole thing. And that's okay. But you're going to learn something new and be recognized that even though new ideas may not make sense to you, if you follow them and allow yourself to believe that new possibilities are out there, your whole world can change. Cool? All right. So what am I going to talk about today? Let's see what the slides say. No, just kidding. I actually know. I put these together today, so I know what's on these slides. So anyway, I'm going to talk about next-gen real estate investing. I'm going to talk about how to build your personal real estate portfolio without using your capital or credit. This is going to be a concept some of you have already done. Some of you have heard about it. Some of you don't believe it can exist. I'll just tell you this right now. If you don't believe you can buy real estate without using your capital or credit, please, 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 just stop that thinking. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Talk to other folks. They've seen this happen. They're part of our network. We do this on a regular basis. But I'm also going to talk about how you can also take existing capital you have and grow further. Those of you that have seen me speak before, you're only going to see about 3 or 4 of the same slides. All right. So there's only a few concepts you've actually already probably seen, at least in the same way. But here's what I want to throw out here for the group. Type in the chat box. I know you guys started typing all your stuff in. Give me a high five. How many of you guys how many of you guys actually are actively own real estate investment properties? Put in a high five. All right. And then if you don't yet have investment properties, but you're trying to get started in real estate, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter why. Maybe it's your first time. Maybe you've been looking and researching for years. You've been part of Laura's group for like the last 2 years, and you keep watching everyone else do it. And you say, I'm going to do that one day. That's cool. At least you're still here. Put the number 9 into your chat box. If you're just getting started, maybe you're brand new. Maybe January was the year you said, this is my year to do real estate. I just want to know how many people are actively doing it and how many are not, just so I can get an idea of the group. So far, it looks like almost everybody here is actively investing. Some are beginning. That's okay. It's perfect. There is no right or wrong. It's what I'm going to share with you are probably things, no matter how active people are, they're not actually doing today. I'm not going to go into a huge background on myself. I don't know. Maybe I'll share a little bit because some of you don't know who I am, but I have it nowhere built in my slides. So we'll just see. I'm less worried about if you guys know who I am, but other than I want you to know, and some of the folks on the call that are part of my other group will attest to you that I do a lot of real estate. I do a lot of things. I own lots of businesses, and I'm at least qualified enough that, to come speak today, it'll be worth your time. That's why Laura invited me. That's all you really need to know at the end of the day. But here's what I want to do. You guys should be able to see, we're going to talk about building your portfolio. One thing I just want to ask people, why don't more people get into real estate investing? And no cheating. Those of you that have already seen me ask this, and you even know the slide, you probably even know the order of the answers. I'm looking for the top 4 answers on the board. This is for the new people. They don't invest because of Jerry Britt. That's why Jerry says they don't invest because of Jerry. So because of Jerry, they don't get into real estate investing. They're too intimidated. I've met this guy. He's amazing. They're like, I can't get into flipping homes out here in Tampa. This guy owns the space. That's possible. That wasn't the answer I'm looking for, but we'll go with that one as a possibility. Get ahead of yourself. I love that. No, but really, why don't more people get invested in, good. Tony says money and time. Number one answer on the board is money. Absolutely. People say I don't have the money. It drives me crazy when people, not that they say it, because that's just what they believe, because that's what they've learned, because the standard public education system does not teach how to invest in real estate. It's broken flaw in our system. It's the best way to create retirement, passive income, build wealth, etc. But it's not a mandatory course in high school or college. We won't get into that now. That's a problem. Wow, look at these people. Time is definitely, don't have the time. Fear, that is like the most hidden answer. By the way, write this down. Fear is the number one killer of people's dreams and goals in life. Forget about real estate. I mean, yes, it's true in real estate. Fear is the number one killer of people's goals and dreams in life. And that's a problem. It could be anything. They're afraid they want to become a doctor, but they're afraid they're not smart enough. They want to go into sports, but they're afraid they're not fast enough. They're not tall enough. Those that know me, I talk about this all the time. How many guys remember Spud Webb? Anyone remember Spud Webb? Give me a high five if you remember that guy. Spud Webb, for those that don't know, is like one of the shortest NBA players ever. I think like 5'11" or something like that. I think he was on like Detroit Pistons or something. You guys can correct me. It's been a long time. But anyway, point is, 5'6", even shorter. Larry Prince, thank you. So 5'6", even shorter. 5'6", and the guy was not intimidated that all these other guys are towering over him, and the guy could slam dunk. He didn't let his height stop him. Oh, not the Pistons. I don't know anything about it. I just remember Spud Webb. Hey, I'm from Chicago. Jordan is all that matters, okay? That's all that matters. Jordan and Pippen and Rodman. We had it all. I didn't care. You come into our house, you're losing. Go home. Anyway, I'm just kidding, but I am serious. I grew up in Chicago. So point is, we let it stop us. So fear. I'm looking for one more answers on the board. Larry hates me. Larry hates me now. I don't watch any basketball, so it doesn't really matter. I'm a hockey guy. But I'm looking for one more answer. So fear, money, time. Why else don't people get more involved in real estate? They know it could create more millionaires than any other path. Last chance, and now my team can bad experience. Knowledge, very good, Tony. I don't know if somebody's feeding you the answers, what's happened, but Tony's getting all of them. If I had a prize to give out, that's our winner right there. It's on my team, by the way. Laura, your team did not do good at all. Not at all. Jerry had no answers on this other than himself. Didn't count. So anyway, knowledge, lack of knowledge. They don't have enough knowledge. And that creates the fear. They're afraid they'll lose their money. They're afraid they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it right. What I'm going to tell you is we changed that at Next Gen REI. What I will tell you, those that just know, beyond my name, really quick, my name's Keith Aichele. I am the founder of Next Gen REI. We're a real estate investment company. We teach, train, we educate, but we also invest in real estate. We do very creative things that I'm going to share with you today. It's important for you to know that. I also own a marketing company for over a decade. We own a capital investment company called the Aichele Group. It's an SEC reporting company, so we fund projects. And then we also have a nonprofit called Beyond Living, where I've merged my marketing and real estate together to help people who are struggling in homes. Maybe they're veterans, maybe they're age foster kids, maybe they're women in domestic violence, be able to learn and build their skills and get back into the workplace. So I'm going to bring that in a little bit about how you guys can use some of these innovative things to grow your own portfolios faster. But that is the, you've already seen my presentation. That's right, you have, Jerry. All right, I'm going to give you, see, that's why, okay, thank you for being honest and not cheating out there. I love that. Okay, so they don't have the knowledge. So one of the things we did different at Next Gen REI is I realized this. I said, people, you can't learn real estate in a weekend. You can't. You can't learn it in a weekend, in a week-long, bus tour, in a month, in a quarter. I think it takes years if you really, really want to go. Would you guys agree with that? Those have been in this space in a long time. It's not as easy as the books all make it sound. So what we did at NextGen is we said, well, let's stop having people have to do everything on their own. And what if we partner with them and actually help them do it like through the process, like actually negotiate the contracts with them, not say, go read this book, read chapter 5, see how that works out. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe not, but tell me at the end. No, let's actually help you do it so that you don't make the mistakes, because every transaction is different. So I'm going to share with you some of the ways that we invest in real estate and some of the unique strategies that are way above the norm for many, many folks and many, many trainings. But if you implement them, it will be game changing in your lifestyle. Does that sound good? That's gonna be what we're gonna do. So that's the goal. My goal is to show you at least 1 to 5 things that you haven't seen before that could get you thinking different about real estate. And even if all it does is give you the confidence to get started this year, or maybe you're an experienced investor. I know Jerry and his kids are so good at staying still. I don't know how to get them to stand still like that. My kids, I can't get to sit for 1 second. Just my goodness, stop. Stop doing anything. No more sugar, no food, no nothing. Anyway, but Jerry, when we think about this, he's been doing so many different flips, and we worked on a project. Unfortunately, it wasn't the right fit with the owners, but very, very creative styles, things that we do differently. Everybody can add some of these things into their portfolio, so it'll help you this year. Oh, it's your grandkids. Oh, see? Well, I thought they just got frozen many, many years ago, and so you didn't have to worry about the later stages in life that are really rough to deal with. I was really giving you kudos there. But anyway, just freeze them. Then you still get the tax deduction forever. They're like 10 and 12 forever. That's awesome. I had 5 kids just to get the tax deduction. He found a better way. Anyway, and no college expense. So anyway, no, real. I hope you guys are okay with having a little bit of fun today. I mean, real estate is awesome, but we got to have a little bit of fun too. So here's the deal. We're going to go through that and talk about how to do it. So I want to show you guys, first of all, you can invest in real estate for as little as $100 or even less. You actually can. How many people have not done that yet in their lifetime? Bought real estate with $100, only $100 out of their pocket or less. Give me okay, I got let's see who else. I saw a hand by Laura, very good. Who else? Jerry's grandkids didn't. Okay, I got up in the right. I can't get a name there. The guy in the blue shirt. I like him. I see him waving his hand. Yeah, he goes in and out. Sometimes I don't get names underneath people's pictures. Paige, okay. So let me first tell you guys that you absolutely can, and we do it on a regular basis. Let me just show you and prove to you that you can and how it works. And how many of you guys would actually like to learn how to do that? Because how could that add to your portfolio if you could acquire real estate if all you needed was $100? No credit, no capital, no nothing. We're going to start there. And then we're going to end with me showing you a few creative strategies to grow even faster, how to get out of fix and flipping and do fix and flipping in a whole different way like you've never seen before. I've launched something more formally in the last 30 days, 60 days that I've been doing for a while, but I'm making a massive focus this year called Flip Our House. Hang on, let me ask you this. Just to set the tone so nobody leaves early for dinner. I know it's late in Tampa, so some of you might go to bed. I don't know. Last time I went to Tampa, they closed everything down at like 9 o'clock or something. And I went to go out and I finished a call. I'm like, oh, everything's closed. I'm like, come on. I live in Vegas, as you can tell behind me here. And so we never end, right? But how would you guys like to get somebody else to pay you to flip your house for you? Would anybody be interested to learn how to do that? What if you could get somebody else to pay you to flip your house? All right, we're going to cover that off too. So this is something a little different that I normally don't share in this detail. So we're going to have some fun tonight. I'm going to do my best to stay within the hour that Laura gave me. So if I don't finish, it'll be recorded. I apologize. And I'll stay later if you guys need. I'll answer questions, whatever you want, without keeping Laura up too late. But anyway, okay, so here we go. Let's jump into it. The first thing I want to do is focus on this idea of a real estate investment specialist. And so this is what I was saying. I never had this in my slides before, but I added it for today. I believe that there's a power in becoming a real estate investment specialist. If you focus on how to help other people learn how to invest in real estate creatively and differently, you're going to build your portfolio so much faster. And that's what we're going to do. We specialize in real estate. Don't become a real estate agent. Are there any agents? No, I shouldn't say don't become an agent. Don't market yourself as an agent. Okay, so if you have an agent, I used to own a real estate brokerage, and there's a whole story behind that. We became number one in about 18 months in Chicagoland. I ticked off all the agents. They tried to sue me, shut me down. I got a cease and desist in March of 2003, and they lost. They didn't win. I was the Uber to the real estate industry. As I was the Uber to taxi cab drivers. That was me in the real estate industry. I didn't do anything wrong. I just did it different. I outmarketed them. How would you guys like to outmarket every other investor that's surrounding you? Because you know your area is absolutely slammed with investors, right? And it gets even harder when you get people like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or whatever. What are they running out there these days? All these. Grant Cardone's got his course, $97. You can go buy that and whatever he does. I don't know. I mean, I like Grant, whatever, but point is, you want to be different, right? You want to be different. So I'm going to show you guys how to be different here today. So real estate investment specialists, I'm going to come back on this in the end, but that's what you're going to learn. We focus and specialize on how to help people. Don't sell a home. Don't be a real estate agent. Vegas has 18,000 real estate agents. And yet, what makes one different? No, focus on being a real estate investment specialist. In fact, I'll give you the language I tell my team. My team comes, I do like a one-day academy, but it's more than that. We coach 3 times a week. I've got most of the people you see in the call that are from my group. They're on these coaching calls 3 times a week, learning new strategies. Here's what I tell people. Here's my phrase. I don't care. You guys can use it, but if you don't know how to actually do this, you'll get caught later. But here's what words that we use, that my team uses. They say, what do? Even if they're an agent, like Josephine, she's licensed with EXP. Says she's not an agent anymore. I'm a real estate investment specialist. I help people turn their homes into a higher income producing asset, share the revenue, and create generational wealth for them. Would you like to learn more? That's it. That catches people's attention. How would you like to create generational wealth? I help people just like you turn their homes into generational wealth. That's what I do. I'm a real estate investment specialist. You guys get it? Not an agent. I don't buy, sell homes. That's for the other 18,000 agents in Vegas, right? I'm not licensed anymore, by the way. Now, I'm not criticizing or not. I'm going to go. That's a whole nother discussion of whether you should or shouldn't. So let's talk about how you buy real estate with $100 out of pocket. So here's 3 different examples that I want to show you of the story. And there are 3 different ways that we'll use a property. Here's the first one. And I still have not updated. Every time I put this slide on, I kick myself. I have not updated the slide. The numbers are lower than they are in reality, but that's okay. Here's the deal. Here's a single family home that you're looking at that we picked up for $100 out of pocket. Why $100? Well, because that's just the number I use for the way I structure my contracts. The situation was this. This was a woman who bought her home and lost her job during COVID. Went on forbearance. The property was coming to an end. She couldn't afford to make her payments because she didn't have a job yet. Instead of going through foreclosure, I took over her payments for $100 out of my pocket, and I was able to instantly release it out and make $100 a month. Now let's pause there a moment. If you guys could put $100 out of your pocket one time and make $100 a month of cash flow for, let's call it the rest of your life, how many of you guys think that's a good deal and would do that? All right. And if you say no, it's not a good deal, please leave the call. There's no go watch the hockey game. There's no point in watching this here. There's no purpose. We're here to learn how to grow money. Well, so yes, that's great on its own. And then the question is, how many times can I do that, right? Give me as many opportunities those as I possibly can have. Now, let's say I didn't make $100 a month and I only I had 0 cash flow, but I made $31,698 just in 6 months alone. Who thinks that would still be a good deal? $100 out, no cash flow, but I get this, I have no credit on my line. All right. The reality of this story right now is, it was last August I took it over. It's now January, and as of last year, I have about $80,000 in equity in this home. $80,000 off $100. Is that a good deal? That's a good deal, right? That's a really good deal. But that's not even it. Story doesn't end here. Here's what makes this so cool. This particular seller had bought this house, as I mentioned, lost her job. She actually bought it for her daughter to live with her daughter and her grandson. She lost her job. Her kids ended up going, her daughter, I should say, ended up going back to California. She didn't even want to be here anymore. She was going to let it go to foreclosure. Well, once after I took it over, she was so grateful. And then I went on a Wednesday night to get the keys, do the walkthrough, and I found out this poor woman, her name's Sarah. I do a testimonial in my academy. When you spend a day with me, you'll see her speak, her testimonial, whatever. But here's the thing. She tells me, I don't even have money to get back to California. So I literally Zelled her out of my personal account. That's why it's not on here, because it had nothing to do with getting the home. I Zelled her $200 cash to drive back to California. She was in tears, thanking me. We have the ability to actually help people in their lives. That's the cool part about being an investor. It's not all about money. It's about the impact that we can make. And there's people like this everywhere. Is this making sense? Like, you literally can do this. Okay, so here's another deal. Here's another sample. Gosh, it's going to be tough to be done by at the top of the hour, but I'll do my best here. Okay, sample number 2. I'll stop with the offsite conversation. Case study number 2. This is a property that I did a flip your own house on. So I'm going to show you guys 2 models different than a normal fix and flip that people are doing. In fact, I almost never do fix and flips, and now I'm moving almost completely away from fix and flip into my new flip our house model. But I'll come back to this in a moment. But here's an example where I I picked up this property for $10 out of pocket. Yes, $10. I'm not going to go into the story here why $10, but I have a whole Uber thing around it why I did $10. But here's the thing. These owners, this is pre-pandemic. This was pre-COVID. This is a 4,900 square foot ranch in a guarded, gated community on about almost an acre lot. And they own their own business. They used to do, what they did was like all the signs and graphics for trade shows. You know, like when they have trade shows and big events, they have all those fancy stuff. Well, they used to do that. So this is how they made all their money to afford this beautiful, expensive home. And they started tearing apart their home because they're handy people. They wanted to renovate it themselves, okay? And then, ironically, the husband got sick from the chemicals from the business that they run that made them all the money. In fact, he ended up having to get his own hyperbolic chamber and go in it every single day because that's how bad it got. And they had to close up their business. So now their house was in shambles because you know what happens, right? Anytime you do, if you're a mechanic, who's the last car to ever get worked on? Your own, right? Yeah, your own. You never get to your own stuff. Well, that's how their house was. Everything else was more important than getting the house done. So now their house is in shambles. So what I did on this one is I gave them a contract for $10, took over their payments instantly. And I leased back the casita to them. I brought in investor money to renovate the property. And by the way, I paid as much as 45% interest on some of the money that I leveraged. 45%, who'd be okay to make 45% on your money? Would you guys be okay with that? This is another self-limiting belief. People say, well, why would you ever pay 45% interest? Here's why. I put $10 out of my pocket, cash at closing. My check from the title company was $177,000, a little over. Then I had to pay $61,000 in remaining interest. Some of the stuff was paid out at closing. Some of it I had to pay afterwards. I still walked away with a check for $116,000. Who here would pay 45% on money if it meant you could turn $10 into $116,000? Stop asking about the interest rate. The question is, how fast can you grow your cash? That's all that matters. Write this down, by the way. The number one, in my opinion, number one most important investment metric is cash on cash ROI. Plain and simple, cash on cash ROI. I actually will show you in my academy. Oh, someone's drawing all over my screen here. Hang on, we got to stop the annotation allowment. Hang on, disable annotation, and now I got to figure out how to clear the screen again. I always forget. Hey, Laura, do you know how to clear the screen quickly, or I got to go into the annotation?
I do not. I didn't even know you can draw on the screen.
Hold on one second. I've done it before, but not in a long time. What's that? There's like a mustache. There's a big frowny face. Somebody's not happy making 116,000. That was Chris from his iPhone, by the way. We know it's you. We know you. Is he a plant from like Renatus going after the fortune builders? Hang on a second here. Hold on. Remote control. That's not it. I just got to find the annotation thing myself, and then I can clear the screen. Maybe it's over on the screen. Oh, we're gonna skip it for now. And I'll come back to it. Oh, here we go. Annotate. I found it. Clear. Clear all drawings. All right. Now no one can jump in on there. Okay. So next. Go back to the chat. Yeah. Sorry, a pocket draw. Yeah. Instead of butt dialing, he's butt drawing. So that's fine. I get it. Okay. Next. All right. So this is what, oh, by the way, this case study number 2 is what we call a flip your house model. And ironically, I just had a call with somebody today on a flip your house model. He has a house, it's halfway done. He ran out of money. He needs about another $25,000 of renovations to finish it up. He's got about he has over $110,000 in equity. Let me ask this. How many of you guys would put in $25,000 with another $10,000 back to finish off that reno and be done in and out in 3 months? Would anyone do it? Yeah, to flip your own house. We'll bring in the capital. So I have a structure that I partner with owners, because here's what happens. I'll bring in the renovation. How many of you guys want me to share how that actually works? Because I was planning to do it. You guys want to give you a quick overview of how that works? Okay, here's what I do. his property, what he wants to get right now, here's the deal in this one. It's worth about 165, 170. He's got it on the market for 165, but he knows the as is value is only 120. It's got no kitchen right now, right? And so it's a bit torn up. He ran out of some of them. He did the windows, he did some of the sides, etc. It doesn't matter. I would actually lease purchase the property for $100,000. I will put in the $25,000 renovation. I get a minimum return of another $10,000, which means his option payment back to me is a minimum purchase back of $135. Follow me for a moment. I buy it for $100. He can buy it back from me for $135. You with me so far? That means I make a minimum of $35,000 with in my pocket total back. So I put 25 in, get 35 back. I make 10 grand minimum, right? In 3 months. What's your cash on cash ROI? Great. That's what the answer is, right? Great. You know, you put 25,000 in, and you're making almost 50% return on that in 1 quarter. That's almost 200% cash on cash ROI. Okay, but then I share in the profits over that 135 price. So anything over 135, we split. Does that make sense? So if we can sell it for 170, then we split that extra 35,000. So now I make 10,000 profit plus another 17. That means I could turn 25,000 into $27,000 profit in 3 to 6 months. Who thinks that's pretty good? Now, what's awesome about this is I have no closing costs because I'm not buying the property. It's empty. It's a vacant property because it's getting rented. So I get keys to the property. Nobody's selling this without me knowing because I'm in the property. I can place a lien on the property, a bunch of other things. This is called a flip your house scenario. I don't have double closing costs. And what I do is I actually have no closing or realtor fees because he's going to pay the same realtor fees when it finally sells as he would have paid otherwise. I have no realtor fees. I simply have my cash in and share of profits. It's a great, great model, guys. I'm telling you, that's what I did in case study number 2. Is this making sense? And we find these properties on a regular basis. I had one in out in San Martin. You guys know where San Martin is? It's in California, just north of San Francisco. They owned the husband wanted out, so he was going to dump his property for like 600,000, but it's worth 770. It needed like another 50 grand of renovations. So do the same thing. I'll actually pay off the husband part of what he needs to move on to pay his IRS lien. That was his problem. He had a tax lien he needed to get resolved. I'll give him the money for that. That becomes my option payment down. And now I basically finish off the renovations and I can make 50 grand, 60 grand. They were going to walk away from it anyway. These are examples. I don't mean to overwhelm you guys. I'm going to go through a lot of stuff very quickly. Some people say that I talk fast. I like to say you all listen slow. So, but here's the deal. Whatever you don't get, it's okay. Write down the concept and say, Keith, I'd love to connect with you more on that flip your own house stuff because I didn't. I'll make time for you guys. Is that cool?
Sure.
All right. So let's move on to case study number 3. Now, this is confusing you because you're like, why? You just said $100 out of pocket. The case study number 3 says $20,000 out of pocket, not out of your pocket. Okay. Here's how this one works. Here's another example. This is a house that we turned into short-term rental. All right. Divorce situation. Husband, wife bought a house in March, got divorced in June. They had no equity. They had 0 equity. If they're lucky, they get a grand at closing, but chances are they might have to bring a grand to closing. So we say, we'll partner with you. We'll turn this into a higher income producing asset. We'll put in a short-term rental model here and we'll share the revenue with you. We'll share the revenue. Over the course of 5 years, they're going to make an extra $70,000 to $90,000. Now, this divorced couple, by the way, when we signed the paperwork, could not be anywhere near each other. The only time they agreed on anything, they stood on opposite sides of the rooms, by the way. They really did, literally. And the only thing that they agreed on was this. We're going to do this because we want that $70,000 to $90,000 to go to our kids. That's their money. So he took over their payments. By the way, took over the contract and their payments for $100, to be clear. The $20,000 is because you need furniture when you do a short-term rental, right? So I use my capital company, the Aichele Group, to bring in the furniture. I also have other investors that love earning 18% on their money. I pay 18% on capital. Anybody that wants to partner and furnish properties like this, there's enough revenue in there for me to pay 18% to you because I'm making a ridiculous amount of money on this stuff. Look, this $20,000 out of pocket, this property monthly net cash is $1,257 a month. That's a 75% cash on cash ROI. Let me ask, how many guys would pay $20,000 out of your pocket to make $1,200 a month? It's great, right? Yeah, of course. So you guys, if I'm making 75, by the way, that 75% cash on cash ROI is after paying the cost of capital. Does that make sense? That's after the cost of capital. So I have plenty of room to pay 18%. I don't sweat the money. I've learned a lesson. In fact, when anyone that ever wants to decide they want to come to one of our academies, I opened the session talking about a lesson I learned from Ty Lopez and the power of partnerships. But you want partners. You want partners. I want to attract as many people as that want to work with me as possible. So when I could come in and say, look, I'll give you 18% on your money, I get money coming to me on a regular basis, right? Then I could do as many of these deals as I want. Do I make as much? No, but I make great money and it works fine. I'm not greedy. I'd rather have a smaller amount of a larger pie, right? Yep. Good so far? How many guys are liking some of these ideas right here? So instead of doing short-term rentals, so now what I'm doing, even on our fix and flips, we picked up a property in West Virginia for $75,000. We're putting in, I think we're going to end up around 50 grand total into it. It's almost done. So we're into it for what, 125, let's even call it 130, 140,000. It's worth 210 when we're done. We're going to cash out refinance. So we have no money into the property. Instead of walking away and making 50 or 60 grand, by the time you're done with realtor fees, let's call it 50 grand. Instead, we're going to get about $2,100 a month of cash flow on a short-term rental. Would you rather have $50,000 today or $2,000 a month for the rest of your life? Which is it, guys? Let me ask you.
Number 2.
What's that? Yeah, 2K. I see lots of twos going up. Give me a 2. If you like, rather have 2K for the rest. See, this is what we have to shift in our thinking. Stop playing the short-term game. The problem with fix and flip is you forever have a job. The minute you buy it, you flip it, you sell it, and you cash out, you now are out of a job. But if you can do that model where you fix it, you turn it into long-term hold with a higher income producing model, $2,000, even if it's $1,000 a month, do that 10 times, guys, and you can retire. Do that 10 times. Stop chasing 50 grand a deal that you're just going to go spend one way or the other. Focus on cash flow. That becomes the game changer. You guys following me? Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to jump into 2 higher performing cash flow models that you guys want to consider. The first is the short-term rental, and I've got some awesome short-term rental folks that I partner with. Some are right on this call right here. Aldo and I have done short-term rentals together. Gosh, what the first one we did, it was out in San Diego, and it's a simple 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And last month, I saw the numbers, Aldo, $8,800, if I remember right, $8,800. We partnered with the owner who was before that was renting that property for $3,200 a month. Right? $3,200. How many people are out there making $3,200 a month on a property that would be blown away if you walked in and said, I can get you more than that? I looked at the numbers. In 1 quarter, we generated her almost $3,000 more. That's $1,000 extra a quarter. It's actually $2,970 or something. Think about how many people you could partner with. How would you guys like to talk to an investor who's renting a property and say, hey, I see you're renting your property. What if I could get you more money with less headache? Would you like to have a conversation?
Keith, real quick, do you think Aldo could walk us through just exactly how that property was found and like how you approached the owners and kind of real quick, just play out how you ended up with that property?
Well, that's a funny story. I love this story. Aldo, you want to explain, you want to share that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's pretty funny actually, like I ended up, this was the owner of the property, her sister, I knew the sister. Well, I didn't really know the sister, but like I had interacted with the sister like a few years back because she was a homeowner that I was going to I was going to rent out her property and do rental arbitrage. I was going to do a short-term rental on her property, but she had somebody else in mind, and another tenant that that she fell in love with, and they were in a bad situation. She wanted to help out the other tenant, which was totally understandable. And so over the years we kind of just stayed in touch here and there, just sending text messages to one another. And then she accidentally sent me a text message, and I replied probably in the summer. She accidentally text messaged me. It was meant for somebody else, and so I was like, oh, you got the wrong person. This is Aldo. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry, and I was like, yeah, it's okay. By the way, if you have if your property ever becomes vacant, you got your next tenant lined up. And she was like, well, I still have, like, my property is still occupied, but my sister wants wants her tenants that are there right now to leave already, because they're not really taking care of the house very well. And so that's how it all started. So we, and then I went to her property. It was in a great location in San Diego. It's just like 5 minutes to the beach. It's just a cute little neighborhood. I knew it was going to be like, it would do amazing in a short-term rental space. The neighborhood is great, so, we just, connected with the sister, and then, we got on a Zoom call with Keith, and we took it from there. We just presented her with the different options of what we can do, and we structured it in a way where we did a lease with the option to buy it for 5 years. So we actually have first right to refusal to the property. So if she ever wanted to sell the property at some point, we have first rights to buying the property, which I think if she did sell, we with the way the numbers are looking right now, we probably jump on that right now.
Instantly.
So, but yeah, that's how we were able to, that's how we came across this property.
Thanks for sharing. That's awesome to know. I know it's always good to hear these real life scenarios of exactly how this comes to be, because, I know there's a lot of different ways, but it's great to hear this one. So thank you.
And lesson learned out of that, when somebody texts you randomly, accidentally, you just say, no, you got the wrong person, but can I help you turn your any properties you have into higher income and create generational wealth? That's the key. Random texts can turn into money. I want to point out something Aldo mentioned, and this is very important in what I do differently. Most of my contracts, now this was a unique one because she actually wants to retire in that property. So she doesn't necessarily want to sell it. She wants to retire there because she lives in Pennsylvania. But whenever somebody has a property up for sale or they're not intending to live in it, I always build in an option to buy property, and in such a way that I can, in the by default contracts, allow us to be able to buy the property within 5 years, or otherwise it keeps kicking down the road. So here's the important reason why. You don't want to establish a cash flow stream that disappears on you. The issue that I have with the rental arbitrage model is this. I start working with somebody and I rent out their place and I start creating all this great income on short-term rental. And they're like, wow, you're crushing this. I should do that. I don't want to renew my lease with you. And there goes your income stream, right? So my model's pretty simple. Instead, I'm going to say this. If I'm crushing this, I want one of two things to happen. One, they might decide they want to partner with me for life. And so I don't make as much because I have to share with them, but now I'm using their financing, right? It's their financing. It's their loan, their credit, everything else. And they probably had it as a better rate because it was probably owner occupied at one time with a lower purchase price than me buying it today. That's option one. Or option two, I go in and buy it now. I've got 3, 4, 5 years of history that says this thing's producing. Aldo's absolutely right. We would buy that in a heartbeat if she wants to sell. Nobody is going to allow me to plug in my Starbucks into that corner location, show them that this is a great spot to sell coffee, and then try to sell out the Caribou. That's why I build the option on all my contracts. Protect your investments, protect your cash flow streams. Cool? All right. Continue on. So I'm on annotation mode. Now I'm drawing on there. Hang on. All right, how do I get off that? I don't want the annotation. Okay, turn it off. Okay. All right, here's how we look at things. First of all, partnership acquisition. We try to do 90+% of our acquisitions are partnership acquisition. And again, I'm going to breeze through these last few slides so we can end roughly on time. But I just want to give an overview of how to think differently. We try to partner with owners on almost every property that we buy, because if we can partner with them, they become our bank, right? They become the bank. And I really only want to partner for a certain period of time, because one of two things. If in 5 years, hopefully I've started to build equity. Right. So even if I go to refinance this property, I've already got equity in the property. By the way, remember that property earlier that I mentioned that I made about 80 grand in 14 months or whatever it was. I'm using a bank that allows me to do this. Check out how cool this is. She asked if I could buy out the property earlier. She would even lower the price for me. Now, many people are like, wow, I could get an even better deal. I'm going to be honest. I told her, no, I don't want a lower price. I'm already making $80,000. I'm going to agree to the price we agreed to, because the poor woman was going to have to bring money to the closing table. That's how bad her financial situation was in life. Let's not take advantage of people, right? So I said, no, I'll buy it at the price I want. By the way, I also put in a $4,000 air conditioner into there, and I'm not even going to charge her for that. I've made $80,000 unexpectedly. The property did great, but it gets even better. Here's what I do, though. This is going to be for more advanced people that follow. Try to go slow on this one. Check this out. I can actually have her quit claim title into my LLC that I just set up yesterday. And I have a bank that will lend me on a refinance so I can pay off her loan. And now I have no money down buying this property. Zero. You guys follow that? I basically controlled it via contract on a lease option for a year until 12 months. I moved the property via quitclaim into one of my LLCs, and I instantly refinance it, pay off her loan, and now I just added a piece of property to my portfolio with no money down. Zero money down on an investment property on a 30-year fixed rate of around 4.25% to 5%. Who thinks that's pretty good? Who would do that all day long?
Yeah.
I'll add as many properties to my portfolio as possible that's cash flowing, already going, and I have no investment. I have virtually no risk. It's pretty cool, right? These are some of the creative things. So I'm just going to challenge you. Don't say it can't be done. You should be asking, how can you do that? How do I learn how to do that? Okay. So that's one of the things. So partnership acquisition. Once we acquire them, here's some of the models we focus on. Rent to own. I do a little bit of those now, but I'm moving more and more towards short-term rental. Partnering with folks like Aldo or Shelly, who does short-term rental as well out in the Tampa area, and others. But I partner with other people to run the short-term rentals that have successful businesses doing it. Right? I don't want to run it. I've got about 4, 5, 6 lined up for Aldo right now on short-term rentals. You know, and there's people that are looking to, hey, I want to make more for my property. I want to do more. Or I don't want to go to foreclosure. So run short-term rental. Next option, 2 different versions of fix and flip. Technically, there's 3. One is traditional, and I normally don't do that many traditional. Right? Buy it, fix it, flip, whatever. However, I told you the flip your own house model, right? You guys got that concept I did earlier, right? You guys were all good with that. Flip your own house. You basically lease option it, put in the capital, protect yourself, make sure you do all your contract work right. This is why you want to work with people. Just don't take the idea and then don't mess it up, because you don't want to lose your investment either. But here's a new model that I've been doing it for a while, but a model that I'm doing more focus on in 2020, and I've actually named it now. It's called Flip Our House model. You guys wanted to learn how you get someone else to pay you to flip your house? Who wanted to learn that? I think there were people. Is that still okay? Or did I overwhelm you already? You've had enough. Give me an idea. Who wants to learn the Flip Our House model? High five. Okay. Here's how this works. I did this in a property in Chicago, and I've got about 12 to 14 contractors that want to partner with these going forward, and 4 that actually wanted to do this specific one. I have a property that I control, although I'd buy a property that you own. Who's that gentleman up there in the blacks? I think it's a sweatshirt with gold. I'm trying to get names out there. Who is that? How do I get names to show up? But anyway, maybe I have to pin their name. I hover and it doesn't show me. He's got a little gold right there. Anyway, oh yeah, there you go. Just raise his hand. Who is that? Yeah, him. What's his name? We go into chat.
Eric Poles. How are you, sir?
Eric? Hey, nice to meet you, Eric.
Yes.
All right, awesome. So let's say Eric is a renovator. What I'm going to do is this. Let's say he's a renovator. I say, look, Eric, I've got a property. I own it. I've got all the financing for it. I'm going to let you flip the property and make all the profits. First of all, does that sound attractive if you're a renovator and you don't have the ability to have access to capital or credit, first of all? That's how this started. I'm now finding fix and flippers that do them in volume that say, I'll take as many as I can do. That's just I have to use in my own capital. And here's how this works. I'm going to sell it to you on a lease option. I'm going to have a fixed price for you. You cover the payments for my loan. I add a margin on, by the way. And then I'm going to finance the renovations for you. You're going to, as you renovate, you're going to have to front it. I'll do the draw inspection, so you don't get the money up front. You have to have enough capital to do the work. Does that make sense? I'm not just throwing money out. Here's $20,000, and then all of a sudden there's nothing done in my house, and he's got a new boat. You know, I know Eric's into the boats. I've seen him out there. But anyway, but no. So then what happens is, if he can sell it and make another 100 grand because he did such a great job and he knows what he's doing, he gets to keep the profits. But I know how much money I'm going to make at the very beginning because I know what I owe on it and I know what I sold it to him for. So example, I've got a property at $317,000 that I marketed for $559,000 and it needs about $200,000 of rental and it can sell for $950,000. I'm going to make $250,000 out of it. I don't care if you make $500,000, $250,000, whatever you want to make, Eric, does not matter, right? If you know what you're doing, you're going to take this on because I became your bank and you didn't have the closing costs or anything else. Now, I've now got these renovators saying, hey, if I find a property, would you buy it for me? Absolutely. If you make the commitment to the payment and you show me, I require that they show me their plan. Show me how you're going to get X price for the home. Because don't just say, oh, I know what I'm doing. They need to have experience. Does that make sense? You've got to show me the experience that you've actually flipped homes. This is not for the person who just walked out of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad workshop. Is like, man, I got this thing figured out, man. I just went to a weekend training. I'm like a master flipper now. This isn't for that. This is for somebody that can show that they actually know how to flip homes. Because now they can move faster because I become their bank. They don't have to deal with that. Does that concept make sense to you? Flip our house. I'll own the house. I'll take that part on, but you need to own it. What I love about this is it allows me to start flipping homes in markets that I don't need to be present in or worry about the marketplace, right? Jerry's a great example. I've seen Jerry's work. I know he knows. I've seen his spreadsheet. I didn't read them, but he's got these spreadsheets in his office. You ever seen him? The guy's like a machine, man. He just goes through this stuff. I have the utmost confidence that Jerry knows what he's doing. Do you know what I'm saying? So I know that if he's going to take on a project and commit to the financial resources and commitment, he's going to get it done. And it's a commercial lease, by the way. There's no evictions. If you don't pay or you don't do the work and you bail out, guess what? I find someone else to replace you. That's the concept of flip our house. And I'll do that in almost any market as long as I believe that the home can actually sell because I want that loan eventually gone and that the person that I'm partnering with can actually get the work done. How many guys think that's an interesting concept of a flip our house to make your life as a fix and flipper even better? I got one, I got two, I got three. So I'm doing this on a grander scale because I've shown people how to 7x their money. If you've got $100,000 cash in the bank, I could show you how to 7x your capital and be able to buy real estate like this and even use other partners to come in and give you down payments to buy more. And the bank doesn't care. It's very unique programs where it's more lenient. Like literally, I'll get to that in a minute. But the last thing I want to show you, so that's fix and flip, the last model, and then I need an extra 15 minutes where I know I'm going to go over. So I hope that's all right with everybody. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's totally
okay, cool. All right, shared housing beyond living. The other model that I'm doing is on properties, as I mentioned earlier, is this concept of beyond living. We formed a nonprofit that basically I take my marketing company. We train veterans. We train foster kids coming out of the foster care system. We teach them how to run marketing funnels, how to do sales calls, etc. And then we actually give them the work. They go into one of our homes into a shared housing model. We typically can get about 2 people per bedroom at $1,050 a month for the program per person. A lot of times it's subsidized. In fact, here in North Las Vegas, I'm working with the city. They have millions in funding to help with this. We have funding coming from multiple sources. We're going to create some pilots and take this around the country, but we can do it anywhere. But I mean, we don't need the city to partner with us, but if we do, it's even better. But here's how this works. It's real simple. We get a property. Businesses are hiring. The revenue to pay for their rent is coming from the businesses because they're hiring the jobs plus government funding and nonprofits and donations. And then we serve communities. That means if you have a 4-bedroom home, 4-bedroom, you might be able to make $8,000 a month of gross revenue on that. Who likes the idea of that? And if you get the city behind you, it's guaranteed revenue. They're paying automatically. They're going to fund the residents to be in there. Plus, you have the businesses that come in to ensure that you're getting your $1,050 a person. The cities like it so much, they're working on a way to streamline an approval process so I don't have to go through the standard hoops. By the way, Josephine, who's on our call, opened up the doors with the mayor's office in this, by the way, and this is what they love. They want to try to figure out how to make this work. And we not only that, we have another connection in the homeless services side that wants to make this work too. So the point is, people love this model. These are, guys, I just want to expose you to new models out there that can get you a lot more revenue on a property. A lot more revenue. If you could turn a 4-bedroom home into $8,000 a month gross, if you could make $3,000 or $4,000 a month net off of your properties, who would like to acquire more real estate? And what if you could get the owners, and I show this to homeowners, and they turn their properties into these. Shelly, raise your hand, Shelly. Shelly right now has an investor in Tampa who just bought a 6-bedroom home that wants to do this with his property. It's going to be about $10,000 a month. He was going to fix and flip it and renovate it and spend all that time and money. We don't need to do anything. We take it as is. We get donated furniture because it's a nonprofit. The people who are residing in there, they don't need it to be the Marriott, the JW Marriott. They want a place to live and grow. $10,000 a month off of one property. He wants to do more. He's got like 7 more coming down the pipe behind this. He's got a second one closing in another month, and he's got another portfolio. It's a whole, guys, it's game changing. I just want to expose you to some new concepts. Is that okay? I hope I'm helping create your minds and stretching them a little bit to the end. Okay, the last piece, I've got 2 slides left, and that's, I've got 3, I lied. Okay, 3, couple things. The way we do it when we partner with people is we have people we call finders, we have facilitators and funders. Most people have no idea what in the world is this guy talking about. And I know some of you might be sitting there like, I have no idea what you're doing or how I would do that. As I said earlier, we put up a model that says, look, if you just even connect us into a homeowner and you find a property that we could turn into one of these, I'm going to give you 60% of the profits, but I'm going to do all the work negotiating it for you. I'm going to help line it up. I'm going to put the contracts. I'm going to help them understand how this works. All I want to do is connections. I want to reward you for connecting us so we can build our portfolios together. You become part of the LLC that we form, and it's another addition to your portfolio. If there's money needed, it tends to be about a third in splits. Okay, I'm going through this quick. You can watch the recording. I'm just sharing what we do. That's what we do. This may not be right for anyone here. I just want to show you that the possibilities are much bigger out there than most people know of. I want to go back to this real estate investment specialist. Do you really want to grow bigger in 2022? You got to step outside the norm. I believe that no matter what it is, whether it's what I shared with you or you want to get into container homes, I don't know, get into something different, right? Get into something that what everyone else is doing. People have been doing traditional real estate forever, and it's time for change, and you're seeing that change happen in different industries. I like people to think of becoming real estate investment specialists so they can help other people learn how to invest in real estate. We show people how to take an initial property, everyday home sellers, and make $1,500 a month profit on their main property, and then show them how to leverage the equity to pick up 4 more properties. Isn't that pretty cool? The sellers love us. I'm telling you, when I show them, hey, you could sell your house and you get what, 40 grand? What are you going to do with that? It's gone in 5 years, if not 3, right? What if I could show you how to turn that into $4,000 a month of cash flow for the rest of your life? Their heads stop. They say, wait a minute, instead of walking in saying, hey, I'll buy your house 70 cents on the dollar. If that's you, I don't mean this in a negative way. If you put me and you next to a seller and you come in at 70 cents on the dollar and I come in and say, hey, on your $400,000 home, How about this? I'll get you about $520,000 over the next 5 years. Who do you think they're going to take? Your $280,000 offer or their $520,000 with me? Oh, and by the way, if you don't want to be out in 5 years, we could turn this into cash flow for you of $4,000 a month for the rest of your life and all your kids. That's your kids' college, that's their vacations and everything else. You see the difference? Because I'm a real estate investment specialist. My job is to help show you how to make more money, not how I make more money, how I help you, the homeowner or investor, make more money. That's what it's about. So that's what we do. I like to lay out plans like this. We have an investor. This is actually from one of Josephine's. She's a nurse. Check this out. You guys how would you guys like to get other people to buy property for you so that you could just make money alongside of it? Would anyone be okay with that? Is that all right? Josephine's got a nurse, California. I'm not going to give her name or too much of the details, but let's just say she's got a lot of money, okay? She's done very well for herself. She can buy more than $2.5 million worth of real estate. So we said, okay, let's break this down to small baby steps. And we designed a plan for her on how to get to over $6,600 a month in passive income in less than 1 year. Now, imagine how many people are nurses or doctors or attorneys or CPAs or bookkeepers that have cash sitting around that they don't know what to do with. Do you guys think you might be able to connect in with 1, 2, or 3, or 4 and show them? We lay out a plan on how you have some cash flow strategies. We do some cash infusion, fix and flip models. And then people say, well, how do you get to $6,600 a month? How does that work? Because people are like, that's impossible. How can 3 or 4 properties get you $6,600 a month? I'm going to show you. I got one last slide. This really is my last slide, guys. Don't worry. I just want to break through your barriers of your self-limiting beliefs as you go into 2022. I want you to open 2022, whether you like anything I had to say or not, to realize that there's a lot more out there. If you guys have bigger goals, it's time to reach them. It's time to figure out what is that different way to get there. Does that make sense? I'm telling you, it's there. We're doing this every day. We've got 19 properties in our pipeline right now this month that people that want to partner with us and do this stuff. So it's there as long as you know how to do it. So here's how the numbers break down. 6 residents at $1,000. Then this is just one way. You can make the same revenue in short-term rental if it's the right property. 6 residents at $1,050 in our Beyond Living model, $6,300 a month. We have a $240,000 loan in interest, a pity payment on of $1,800, utilities, general maintenance, capital fees, management expense, at least $2,900 in profit. By the way, the owner doesn't pay their mortgage. We do as part of the business. Does that make sense? The owner doesn't pay the mortgage. We do as part of the business. That leaves $2,900 left over. If the owner or if you're an investor, you talk to an investor and they are both the capital and credit partner, they would earn $1,100 and $1,100 a month. And the person that found the property or connected in that owner would make $700 for the rest of their life as part of the LLC. Who thinks that's pretty good? Here's what I mean by that. If Eric is who I talked before, Eric, you're like, I got this guy, he's not sure what to do with his house. It's got 5 bedrooms. You know, here's what I'm thinking. It could be pretty much $350, $400, because you have to split that with the facilitator, but whatever. $400 a month for ongoing, just for making that connection. That's $5,000 a year for the rest of your life. Do that again and again and again. Do that 10 times. It's game changing, right? Why did I break out the capital and credit partner? I'm going to leave this plug in your ear and then I'll open up for questions. In the lending model that I have with the bank that I use, they only qualify you once every 6 months, and then you don't have to qualify or show any statements again. Meaning this, I can qualify with my personal funding from my business bank accounts and then go buy real estate and use other people's money for the down payment. I'm going to repeat that. Let me repeat this. What if you guys could use other people's money for the down payment? Who likes the idea of that? And the bank doesn't even need to know who those people are. You guys like that idea? That's game changing, because how often does a bank say, where'd this money come from? Where'd you get the down payment? Where's it been seasoned? It's crazy to me. This could be like drug money. You know, I'm not saying you should use drug money, but I'm saying it could be drug money. They don't ask. They just say, what do you have now? Great, here's what you're qualified for. Send your property through and show up at the closing table with the down payment and we'll give you the money. Is that pretty awesome? That's called our 7X strategy. And I'm not going to go in depth here, but if you want to learn more about the 7X strategy, write that down on your piece of paper and say, hey, Keith, I want to learn about your flip our own house. I want to learn about this. I want to learn how do I get in this finder facilitator thing? How do I get into short-term rental? How do I do beyond living? Whatever it is, write your questions down, and I'm happy to answer them today or offline or connect up with you offline. I think that's why Laura invited me here to the group, just to kind of share with you guys that she's connected into other resources that might provide something different that you guys want to utilize to elevate your 2022. This is the proof in the numbers. And I could spend 30 minutes just on this slide, and I don't have that here today. I just want to give you a snippet that the world might look a little bit different out there than you're used to. Does that make sense? This becomes game changing. If any of you, here's my example, if any of you guys have credit but no capital, I could partner you up with people that have money but no credit, right? Probably some of them might have drug money, but who cares? I don't care. You don't ask the question. You just say, what do you want to, I don't care. That's good. They can't get a loan because they can't document their, whatever. The point is, there's people on both sides of the fence. They can help you build your real estate faster. Does that make sense? So you could get these lines of credit. You could be making $1,100 because you simply used your credit to establish the line for the business, and you're just collecting a check. No money out of pocket. You're just collecting revenue. Cash flow is the king in this world. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, most if not everybody on this call probably already read it. If not, you need to do so. You know the importance of cash flow. This is all about building other people's cash flow that will then in turn build your cash flow. A little bit different of thought. Did you hear me? Build other people's cash flow, and that will build your cash flow. Try to build just your cash flow, and you will get stuck at some point. When you build out the models that help build other people's cash flow, you'll keep attracting more and more people, and you'll keep adding to your cash flow. So I actually did it almost in 60 minutes because we had an intro video, and then I expanded on that I didn't plan to because it's a great video. Laura, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you and all you do for your group. You are an amazing not just investor, but person, and you and John are just so great people. I love seeing you guys every time I'm in Tampa. And I wish I could be part of your group there on a more regular basis, but I don't go anywhere these days. So I just stay here. I'm happy in my little zone bubble. But I'll
You're
just
a busy guy, Keith. So we really appreciate you coming on. I know you have a lot going on, and you do an amazing thing for your group with all the things that you do with your meetings. I can't even imagine. We do this once a month, and I know that that takes time and effort, and I love doing it for this group. But you do it 3 times a week for yours, so that's amazing. There's just so much knowledge that I know I've gained in every single one of those meetings. And I know I love to see that Aldo and Shelly are a part of that as well, and watching you guys work together in different partnerships, as you stated in this call. The partnerships are really what makes a difference, and that rising tides lift all ships, and you exemplify that in so many ways. So we really do appreciate your time here. And I'm sure that you probably will get a lot of questions because there's so much great information. And I know when I first heard all of this, it took me a hot second to wrap my mind around looking at real estate differently and not just those traditional paths. But I know that there so much need and going into the future of what we need to look at it differently. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. There's definitely, you get burnout when you do those flipping spun, but yeah, there's definitely, it's one and done, can get burnout, and we're all looking for that passive income to really create that wealth that we want long-term, not only for ourselves, but for others as well. So does anybody have anything they want to jump on or ask real quick to Keith while we have him on here? I know it's a lot. It was a lot of amazing information. And I think, Aldo, do you want to, or Shelly, do you want to add in anything about your experience with just looking at real estate, investing differently as you have now with Next Gen? And with
Yeah, I'll jump in. Oh, sorry, or whoever wants to go. Shelly.
You go ahead. I'll go next.
Okay. Yeah, just real quick, just one of the things, I know a lot of us are here are Fortune Builders. I've been part of Fortune Builders since 2013, and I absolutely love Fortune Builders. It's been, I've learned so much from Fortune Builders and just learning how to learning systems, learning how to implement system as far as, like during rehabs and putting systems for marketing. Everything comes down to systems, And so with Keith and Next Gen, we learn a different system, and in our market in the market we're in right now, and with real estate, inventory is very low, and so there are the deals out there. The perception is that there's very little opportunities out there. However, once you learn once you learn how to how you're introduced to different models, you'll start seeing that there's deals everywhere. And I kind of approach it, ever since Laura introduced me to Keith, I've kind of got a different approach to things, and seeing things a lot more differently, because I see opportunities everywhere. It was just a shift in, like, okay, what's the where's the opportunity, and what can we how when you're looking at a piece of property, is like, what's the opportunity here? What kind of model can we put in? We can certainly go ahead and do a fix and flip like we've been taught, or we can do something else, and just figure out a way on how to make that model work. But most importantly, too, is really looking to see what is also in the benefit of the seller as well. What's in it, how can we serve them? And learning these models just puts you in a different category, separates you from the rest of the competition, because you can truly offer like so many options to a seller that they have to go with you, because you're going to provide every single option that you possibly can, and you'll be providing options that will certainly benefit the seller tremendously. Is like, and you're different than any other cash buyer out there. Cash buyer is just going to give you the lowest, we'll make you an offer 70 cents on the dollar and call it a day. But the way we do things, we look at it differently. It's like, yeah, we can offer you that too, but I think we can offer you a better deal, like doing something else, and so that's been the value of being able to just connect with Keith and his group and his network, and just learning different models on how to do real estate investing.
Yeah, and I would add to that. That's great, Aldo. You were very comprehensive in the whole picture there about Next Gen. I would just say that, to add to what Aldo said, how I characterize it when I'm talking to people is, it's really innovative to talk to a seller about valuing their home based on a cash flow strategy versus that of a discount to market. That is the biggest difference. And when you come at this from a place of innovation and heart, actually, because this is about helping people. So I see this more as a benefit for sellers, and also for newbies, new real estate investors like us that have particular specialties. This is an opportunity for us to really shine over and above the traditional, very skilled fixer and flipper strategy. So I'd say innovation. In one word, it's really innovative, and I love it.
That's so awesome.
Thank you.
Aldo and Shelly, for sharing that. I know that you guys have been doing this now for a while with Keith and Next Gen, and and I'm not here trying to pitch Next Gen for Keith, but we're a part of Keith's network with that. I've learned so much just looking at this differently. If Next Gen is something that you're interested in learning more about and really understanding some of these strategies more deeply, I'm sure Keith would be open to talking to you about that, and how you could potentially utilize learning further from him, and also the network that he has created, the different opportunities that are there. It's a fabulous group of people. Some of them are on here this evening. I was glad that they were able to join and with our typical monthly meetup. And it really does make you just look at it differently. And I like how, Aldo, you put that instead, because it really is, when you look at fix and flip opportunities, they're getting harder, the numbers are getting tighter. And then if you look at it through these different lenses, there are still opportunities. You just have to figure out how to utilize the right strategy to make it a winning situation for everyone all around.
Hey, I got a question on the flip your own home. You said you buy it from them. What's like the interest rate you charge the people when they do that? Are you charging them interest rate on that, on the money that you're putting up to, that they have to pay you back on the loan?
So you're the flip our house model. So I know they're very close, right? Flip your house and then flip our house. In flip our house, basically what I'm typically doing is charging about 2% over what it's costing me for my rental loan. Okay. So if I've got a 10% rental loan, just as a simple number, I'll charge 12%. So they would pay 1% a month after they've used it, only when they've used it, right? This allows them to be smart with their spending, to make sure that they're not wasting money and their payments are going up. I mean, what you don't want to have happen is that a renovator starts working on a property and then they get another property around the corner that can make them more money. So all of a sudden they pause their time working on your project, right? Which is really a joint project at this point, right? But it's yours, the one you care about. And then they go on work on this other one and then they just leave it sitting hanging. So knowing that they're paying and it's costing them, now that they've got money invested, they're gonna wanna get that thing done. They're gonna wanna get it done. And by the way, if they don't do something right in the permit, how many guys have had this, right? Something happens, they didn't do something right, the inspectors come in and now they got to open back up a wall and redo something, right? That's on them. That's not on me. That's your fault. You're expected to do it. This is your business, right? That's how I look at it. This is your business. You're plugging your business into my property. I'm like the shell for Starbucks, right? I've got the commercial strip. Plug in your Starbucks and make this a winning location and spot, and you'll make good money. But if you don't do it right, you're going to lose money. So yeah. So here, to give you another example too, if I also remember, my base payment is going to include all my principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So their monthly lease is going to be my cost to hold it plus about maybe $200, right? And then I'll add a 2%, give or take, like roughly 2% on top of the rate for any money that they borrow as part of the renovation loan. Here's another little secret I'll tell you, since you seem interested in this piece. The other thing I do these on 3-month windows that they have to extend their option. And then they have a renewal fee. So if after 3 months you're not complete, you're paying another $2,000, $3,000. 6 months renewal, your 6-month renewal is now $6,000. 9-month renewal, you're at $10,000. Get the work done.
Now, hey Keith, what if it's a major overhaul and going in, we know it's going to be longer than 3 months? Can we set up?
I reset the term. I mean, then it'll be 500 every 3 months, and I'll have that already built into a lower starting price. Just I like the idea that they have to renew every 3 months to keep them focused. So it could be 500 for each renewal for the first 2 quarters. Then it goes to 1,000. But then after that year, that's why I say, tell me the project, tell me your vision.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to ask that. Yeah.
Right, but you get the idea, right? Because I know some things, but if you're telling me this is a simple $16,000, throw some carpet, some paint, some this on, guess what? We should be done ideally in 3 months. So $500. I get we can't control the buy side, but guess what? It shouldn't take more than 6 months to be gone. Shame on both of us, right? If you don't think we can sell this in 6 months on the market, then we shouldn't be doing it, right? This also weeds out the crappy wholesalers. I don't mean it to any wholesalers that might be out there, but you know what I'm saying? How many wholesalers come in and, wow, this is a great deal. It's worth this and it's only going to cost this. That's because you get paid now. We all know the real project is 3 times the cost and half the value that you just gave, right? So this weeds that out. Actually believe what you're saying. Oh, sorry, I gotta be careful. I got little kids there. Hey there, teach them young. That's the way to do it. I love it, Eric. Anyway, so great question.
So essentially you're taking kind of the hard money part of the whole deal is what you're kind of creating that scenario for the partner, correct?
Interesting question. Why do I do it this way too? Here's what people don't realize. In many and most states, if you're going to get into hard money lending, you can only do a certain number of transactions at a time or per year before you need to be financially regulated.
Interesting.
People don't realize that. Go look at the license laws. You're regulated. So what happens here is I could do 100 of these and I'm never a hard money lender because I own the property. I'm not lending any money. I am owning the property, and somebody else is coming in and leasing the property from me, and then they are opting to be the contractor to get the work done.
That makes sense.
It's a
All
scalability
this legal
model
stuff.
too. You what's that?
I said you're really good with knowing all the legalese of all these different states. I know there's other things that you know that I'm like, how did you know that?
And I spent a lot of time looking into these things, and it's really easy. But see, whenever you build something, this is what I do in my market, I teach you build for scale, right? You want to build for scale. So you look at a model that's repeatable, it's scalable, etc. And having a bunch of people running around trying to renovate properties and you're at the center of trying to manage it, that is a job that I don't want. That's not scalable. That's why they create franchises, right? That's why they get people paying $50,000 to buy a franchise, because they should have enough interest and motivation to run the darn business themselves. If you didn't want a franchise, you'd make it all corporate stores and you'd hire your own people. That's why you do franchising, right? So that's how you want to think about, that's how you scale. That's how you create businesses for scale. If you think, go watch Shark Tank. They all want the license, the patents. They want to create franchise stuff. They don't want to build, what Smashburger, whatever these different, food companies are. They want to scale it through franchising. So anyway, that's the same concept here. It allows you to franchise. And then you scale. By the way, then go back to the right lender. That how do you start saying, well, then if you have to own all these properties, how can you scale? Because you run out of capital. No, you don't. Because here's why. I will help you, any one of you that can get credit or as capital, I'll help you plug into these deals. If I helped each one of you be able to do 5 deals on your own, that's 60 deals right here that we can do. 60 more deals that we could do. I don't need to make all the money. You make the money. I'll make my $400 a month on each one. If I help you guys each do 5, that's 60 deals. I make $400 a piece ongoing for the rest of my life. That's 24 grand a month. Do I care that I didn't get to use my capital or credit and pick up? No, I don't care. Do I care that you made more money than I did? You made $1,100 or $2,200 a month and I only made 4? No, I don't care. I don't care, because I'm going to focus on the bigger picture and scale, and I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to, just like he's got the beach behind him. Well, I'm right where I want to be. This is exactly where I want to be, right? That's what you want. You want your businesses to be able to run without you. So anyway, I'll stop on that topic, but I think you got the idea. Other questions?
Anybody?
Yeah, residual income.
Tony said residual income. Is that, yeah, definitely. Yeah, you want residual income. Absolutely.
Oh, that's Tony in the blue shirt with the building behind him.
Yes.
I finally have my names back on. Sometimes they don't show up. So, hey, Tony, nice meeting you. Now I know who Tony is.
Yes, that's Tony. So, well, this has been awesome, Keith. I don't know if there's anything else, I'm sure they're going to process it. Like, I remember when I did, I was like, wow, it's just a really just turning, your thinking cap a little bit differently and approaching it differently. So
I got a curiosity one, Laura, before you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm starting to mainly focus on new construction, whether it's single family or hopefully get into multifamily. What is your idea, or what could possibly be something that would work under your program or stuff you're doing too, or you're not really into the new construction type?
Actually, it's funny you said that. I got a couple comments on that. New construction could be really good, especially if you're going to tailor a specific model you know is going to do really well, like a beyond living home or maybe a short-term rental or whatever it might be. Then I think it's great to get into that space. What I go look at is cash on cash ROI. As I look at syndications that are out there and I look at other things like that, I have not found any syndications or things like that that can match the cash on cash ROI that I get implementing my models. Here's what I did. I'll just tell you guys what I did. I actually, at the end of last year, I invested to join part of Jerome Maldonado's group. I don't know if you know Jerome Maldonado. He's got a model to build spec homes. He's got a very, very niche window. I love it. He does tons of these, but he's not a builder. He doesn't want to build tract homes or anything like that. His model produces an average return of $128,000 per property, okay? So it's only one. You don't buy a whole subdivision, but you have to build for the right thing, follow the exact model. He's got a formula. He's never lost money. The worst case is when things went really south back in 2012, he only made $38,000 on one, okay? But he hates building. He hates new construction. Listen, and here's why I'm doing it too. There's 3 pillars of wealth we do that I teach at NextGen. It's what our whole 3 stands for: cash flow, cash infusion, net worth. That's what you want to build. You want to have a strategy. Every one of you should have a strategy to build your cash flow, your cash infusion, your net worth. I'm building some spec homes this year in 2022 following his formula, not because I have any desire or interest at all for new construction. I have none. I want the 128,000 to go get the cash infusion to go invest into high income cash flow properties, right? I'm going to take the 128, pick up 2 properties that I can make about 10,000 gross on, a month, which will net about 4,000. So I'm going to turn that 128,000 into 3 or 4 properties that net me 4,000 a month each. So that's kind of my thinking. I'm thinking, how do I use that space of new construction to bring in higher return long-term investments? Because again, it's not a bad thing. To each their own, and we need housing. There's a housing shortage, so there's money to be made. The problem is, and I know people that are builders have been in this space. A lot of my people that want to do my flip our house, they're builders. That's what they do. The problem is they're always out of a job. They build a house, they sell it. Now they have no job. They have no income. It's a bigger return or bigger project than a regular fix and flip, right? It's just on a bigger scale. You might make more, but you're still out of a job. So then you get into this space where you keep building more. And now I'm going to take that capital and I just made a bunch of money. Now I'm going to build 3 more and 3 more. And before you know it, you built this empire of homes and you have no life because you don't have any cash flow. You can't stop doing it because you have no cash flow. So if you're going to do that, my only thing is I'm not saying don't do it. Just make sure you're building out of what you're doing. How are you building your cash flow streams in parallel, right? That long-term generational passive income in addition to the house building. That's all I would say that's my suggestion.
And that was my thinking, truthfully, about a month or so ago with all this new construction stuff, and especially the way that Airbnb is working and all that stuff too. It's kind of like, why not build it, do the Airbnb? I built it for less than what it costs for Airbnb. I got instant equity as soon as it's done. So I can use that equity later to build the next one or whatever as we keep going, as long as we got that first few starting to work and produce some monthly income.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was definitely been hard thinking about how to make this work and do that type of stuff too, and finding the land and the lenders to get that kicked off and going. So this definitely helped on that idea.
And that's why I'm saying, and if you build for the purpose of some of it, or some of them are going to be long-term hold, that's great. It's just like I did that fix and flip in West Virginia I mentioned earlier, right? 75 grand cash out, then we pay cash for the whole thing, right? But I didn't do it to sell it. I did it to add another passive cash flow stream. I'll get my money back and I'll start over and do another one. So it's a sliver, it's a vertical. So I like to diversify, right? Diversify your real estate portfolio too. And Ty Lopez says this too. A lot of people say focus on one thing, be niche. You should be a fix and flipper, or you should just sell homes, or you should just do short-term rental. Ty says this. If you guys know Ty Lopez, look him up. I won't go into it, but I have more respect for him than anyone else I've ever met or even not met in terms of his brilliance. He says, here's the deal. Go look at the list at the top of Forbes list. Go look at the top of Forbes list, by the way. Go through that list. How many of those people only do one thing? None of them. None of them. So people that are giving out this advice to stay niche are limiting where you can go. You don't want to just you have to be good and get one thing nailed down before you expand. You know what I'm saying? Don't try to do everything at once, but you got to be thinking bigger than just staying. Imagine if Amazon stayed niche and all they did was books. You imagine that? Think about where they're at today, right? Look at that. I mean, it's just like, that's the proof that you can start focused on niche, but you have to think bigger. So I like where you're going. And I like for you to think about and then the only other thing I would say is this: I'm getting a new construction because for me, the cash flow doesn't matter. Like, you just get into a space because it doesn't matter. I'm just going to tie up money for however long. But if you don't have a lot of money, not saying you don't, but anybody, if you don't have a lot of money, don't take on a project that's going to take you a year to get your money back when you can do something else that gets you that money back virtually tomorrow. Although, man, his team, he set up this short-term rental that I was referencing earlier. In 2 weeks, that thing was up and running and making over $7,000 a month in gross income. 2 weeks. Why are we waiting around to build houses, get them all ready, spec everything else, even fix and flip them? Find an existing property and get it running. Like, you could be building instant cash flow, then add the longer term pieces when you've stabilized. So not necessarily for Larry, but for anybody who's trying to figure out what should my strategy be. ABC's Secret Millionaire, James Malinchak, you might have seen him on my thing, he's a good friend of mine. I love this phrase. He says the fastest way to the cash. The fastest way to the cash is where you start. Because if you don't have the cash, you're going to go out of business. Mm-hmm. That's it. Unless you're well funded, the fastest way to the cash. So think, how quickly can I start bringing income into my business so that I don't run out of money? That's what you need to be thinking in any space. So if that lines, new construction, if I were doing it without getting the securities laws, be careful there, but sell your project early in the beginning and make less on the first one so you get some of that cash now so you could start the next one. You might already be thinking that. Just do it carefully. I've got a Reg A Plus company registered with the SEC. It's work. It takes effort. You got to be careful, but that can help you get there faster, right? So anyway, I hope that helped, Larry, and others.
That was great.
Hey, Keith, when you're looking at something to buy to turn into short-term rental, what's your criteria about whether or not this would work? Obviously, you don't want to be in a bad neighborhood, but I like to think about it being walkable to some touristy things, but it probably doesn't have to be that either. In fact, Shelley's proof that it doesn't have to be that. Yeah. What's your criteria as far as location on what would or wouldn't work as a short-term rental?
I'm going to twist I'm going to twist the answer for a minute that might shock you for a moment. I'm going to start on my first criterion actually has nothing to do with location or anything. My first question is, how much risk do I have in this one?
Okay.
Okay. So that's my first thing is, how much risk do I have? Let me tell you why. If I partner with an owner and I don't have to put any money out of my pocket, all I got to do is put in, and I have one right now in Tampa that I don't know that I want to do because the HOA is very strict and I think we could go under. That right there is one of my criteria of why, when not to go into an HOA, right? But if the owner's willing to fund all the furniture and put his house up and I don't have to guarantee him any payments, I'm happy to take that one on. And I'm going to tell him what the risks are up front. So I'm just going to preface it first, Jerry, to shift it a little bit, that I actually don't. But if I am looking and saying, okay, I am making an investment, what are the things that make it more or less risky where I need to start pushing the owner to do more? It's going to be, I use a lot of data. So I start with MashVisor, and then when needed, I use AirDNA. I look at what's actually happening. I used to be a qualified appraiser. So I look at those short-term rentals just like I would if I were buying a property for purchase. What does the market bear? I'm not an expert in short-term rentals, to be honest. I just got into them in the last year, but I partner with people like Aldo and Michael Flint and Laura, who's, as you said, is doing them success. I'll say, what do you guys think? Tell me what could go wrong. What do you think you get? So I come up with my own analysis, but I've done enough of this now to know I have some clear criterion. And it is, I also look at what else can I do with it? So here's what I mean. If I partner on a property and I have no monthly payment guaranteed, can I rent it? Can I turn this into a straight rental? Because there's my backup plan. Can I turn it into Beyond Living? I've got some that I go into knowing we might get caught, but I've already got the owner on board that if we get caught with the city or the HOA, we're going to move it into Beyond Living where they can't stop us. And we're just going to do that model. So I look for other outs. Ty Lopez also says this. A lot of people ask him, should I buy when the market's high, low, whatever? When's the right time to buy? Right? Everybody wants to know when's the right time to buy. Who would like the answer to that question?
Sure.
Here's the answer. Now. Anytime. You want to have a model that works no matter where the market is. That's how you don't worry about buying at the top, middle, low, up or down, whatever it is. You have models that work in any market. So what you do is you play out the scenarios and say, can I make this work if this were to happen? Is this an area, if the tourism market drops here, what else is around to make me feel good that I could still short-term rental? Well, there's a hospital nearby. There's a college nearby. There's all these different things. So you start building other ways out. So you look at the big picture and say, what's my total financial risk? And how do I have different ways to get out? The more outs I have with the less risk, then I'm going to do the project. There's some cases where there's no way I won't do a project. I have no risk. Here, if I could pick up a property, anyway, and I really mean this, other than I won't pick up a property that I'm scared to collect the rent in, because I know it's just not going anywhere long term. That's just a waste of time. But outside of that, if all you have invested is $100, no capital, no credit, is there a property that's not worth buying? Almost no, depending on how you guys spend your money. But man, if you ever go to a restaurant with 2, 3, 4 people, you're spending $100 on dinner. That's here and gone by tomorrow. So if there's a possibility that a property could be worth something more than $100 or $1,000 or $10,000, $100 on any property could be worth it. Do you see where I'm going?
Yeah.
Just make sure you have your outs.
Mhm.
All my contracts allow me an out if things don't work out. They basically, my $100 is my liquidated damages. That's my out. So I'm not worried. $100. Let's go. So I'll skip going to not even a hockey game. You can't even go to one hockey game for $100. Just so you know. Shoot, I just went to the game on New Year's Day, by the way. It was $14 for a hot dog, like $18 for a beer. Like, you go, and it's just crazy. So people then sweat putting $100 on a piece of property that might make them thousands of dollars, but they'll go spend $300 on a hockey game and then be like, well, that was great, awesome time. What you got left? Nothing. So why not make the $100 in a game, in an investment, and see what happens? So I think it's just how we structure it, Jerry. So the question becomes, while we look at it, becomes how do we structure it to make sure, when do we take less risk in our structuring? When do we build in extra protections in our structuring? But you could be smart about what you do and when will you put in capital? And that's another whole deeper conversation about what I really look for. But I like to go where areas where I believe the short-term rental is going to be very, very strong. And I like to go personally where I don't have to worry about the HOA, because I do think that's a real thing right now. But I think the cities and counties are going to change. In Nevada, by the way, there's very strict in Clark County, because obviously the casinos and everything else. But the state just is passing the law that says the city and municipalities can no longer ban short-term rentals. They could only regulate.
Wow.
And that's happened in Indiana last year. So as more and more states start adopting these types of rules, we're going to start seeing transitions. By the way, a little secret for you Florida folks. Sorry, check this out, Laura. I don't think you caught it. Florida has a state statute that says, here's a little HOA tip for you, a state statute, just like California, Arizona, that says if you bought your home before the HOA implemented the no short-term rental rule, you do not have to follow it, or any rule that they did.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yes. So go back to partnership.
Right. That's the reason we have to partner. We can't buy that home.
Yes, exactly.
We bought it today.
Exactly. I can't get the short-term rental. I go to Eric and say, Eric, you bought this home before they implemented this. By partnering together, we could do something none of your neighbors can do. We could turn this into a short-term rental and we can crush it here. So that changes the game in that HOA thinking and scenarios. So you see how complex this actually is, guys? There's a lot more to this than just go get into short-term rental. You got to know the systems, like Aldo's built systems. Like the reason I partner with Aldo, I don't want to run these things. I want Aldo to run my stuff because he's done this over and over again. And Shelly's done this over and over again. I don't want to do that part. I want to figure out these intricacies that allow me to acquire more real estate that I don't know if Shelly or Aldo knew about that rule before I told them. So how does that work? I want to focus on those and let my partners help run that stuff. I'm going to keep working on innovation and let's just go pick up more properties. Smaller piece of the pie, but I'll get more. So anyway, I hope that helped you guys. Just kind of, again, think outside. Because people say, yeah, I can't do short-term rental here. No, it's HOA, blah, blah, blah. Guys, then fine. Then think that, because I'm going to come in right behind you and figure out. I've always lived on this model. Write this down. I teach this to entrepreneurs all the time. The most important question you can ask in your business is this: how can I? That's it. Challenge yourself to those words. How can I? Don't say, we can't do that. This project isn't going to work. No, how can we make it work? How can I do this? How can I? How can I? How can I? When you really challenge yourself, go back to that Laura's opening video. How do people become more innovative? I should have said it then. They ask themselves that question, how can I make that? That will challenge you to innovate. It will challenge you to think outside the box. And then you start doing that and you start realizing, and you have a few successes, the brain will create dopamine and you'll build your confidence that you can be an innovator.
Absolutely. I was just in a goal setting session a couple of weeks ago, and one of the questions the facilitator brought up was, when you're writing down a goal and you start thinking about, oh boy, that's a stretch goal. How am I going to accomplish that? Stop thinking, how am I going to accomplish that? At the moment, just write down the goal. Act like you already know how to accomplish it.
Yeah.
And just say, what do I want to achieve? What do I want to achieve? Don't worry if you don't know how to do that. get it down, then later figure out who do I need to talk to learn how to achieve that.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. Richard Branson, do you think he knew how he was going to fly himself to outer space when he came up with the idea? He's like, no, we're going to build a spaceship. We're going to outer space. I'm going to go fly myself. He didn't hesitate and hem a haw. He's like, let's just go throw money. I don't know how we're going to do it. It doesn't matter. Just have that unlimited belief system, and you will change where you go in life.
From that video this morning, I don't know if, or from earlier at the beginning of this call, I didn't know until I watched that about the whole Nike waffle thing. I'm not assuming it's true. I don't know why they would put that in there if it wasn't, but that is not something that I was like ever probably thought of. But I think it's a really cool way that it was innovated.
And then look where it landed, right? Look where it took everything, because somebody just said, what if? How could I? That's going to be the game changer, guys. So 2022 for each one of you, if you want to make it better than 2021, it's going to challenge yourself to step even further. Some of you guys are already innovators. Step even further. Step even further. Challenge yourself even more. We've never challenged ourselves enough. Our brain is only a fraction of our capacity. So if you challenge yourself, I'm telling you, you'll be so wowed by the end of the year. Anytime you hit, I don't think I can, at least give yourself 3 attempts at it again. How can I? Look at it 3 different times in a day. Come back to it 3 times and see if you still believe that a week later, a day later, a month later. And I bet you'll have a different perspective, and you'll get unbelievable results.
I love it. This has been an amazing call, really, and a great way to kick off 2022. Again, Keith, we can't thank you enough for all of it. So yeah, you really motivated us. And I hope that, whether it's either 12 months from now, we come back maybe and kick off 2023 again with you, and really have these same people on again, and hopefully even some more, and really look back and reflect of what you shared tonight and where we all land in 2023 at the beginning of the year.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. I am coming back in maybe February, March, because I got that new property up in Interlaken, and I want to get back out there to see it. So as I do that, Laura, maybe I can even sponsor one of your live events, and I don't know where you have them or whatever, but I'd love to just come in and sit in and meet people face to face. So if we can make that work, we'd love to. But thanks for having me a ton. Thanks, guys, for letting me ramble. And this has been fun, though.
Thank you.
Thank you, Keith.
So thank you again so much, Keith. And it has been fun. You're always fun. So that's how you
Thanks, guys.
right? Live it
Thanks,
with some fun.
Keith.
Joy.
Thanks for your leadership, Laura. Awesome.
Thank you, Shelley.
All right.
Thank
Good night,
you all.
everyone.
Have a good evening and go crush it.
Crush it.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, guys. Bye-bye.